Okay, great. Um, I'll have to remember to figure out where. I think I have a message from you somewhere about where this records to.
I think it winds up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's publicly viewable, but it's not listed, so you can't like search and find it. But
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
I think Kevin and maybe a couple other people have the login info for that. So if you want to like take it down from there, ask him. I don't know how to get it.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so do you want to talk about the database?
Yeah. I spent some time last night and this morning writing up a set of tools to basically go through all the pages that we have in the database and look at the first version of that page and the last version of that page, and figure out all the words on the page that have changed. Then give us back information about that. We have like a whole bunch of like giant raw data files based on that, but I've also sort of shoved it into this online database you can run queries against that might be super useful. I've only run it against all of the energy.gov pages right now, so that's all that's in this database. So it just doesn't have like EPA pages or whatever else. So just using energy.gov as a smaller example. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So I posted this URL in Slack, but if you go to this crazy maze willow.glitch.me/changes, you can see this little site that says lets you run a SQL query, or you can look at pages, which are a list of all the pages. So you get an ID. This is the ID of the page. This is the ID of the earliest version of that page, latest version of that page, whatever URL it was, where you can view it in Scanner, the title of the page, the current status of the page, or the latest version's status. So if one was like a 404, you'd see that in here. The date of each of those versions, and how much changed. So this table by itself is not the most useful thing. But if you go back and look at term changes, this is the one that will probably be more directly useful. So it has a reference to the page. So you can click on that and go back to that page record and see all that same stuff. But it has for each page, it's got a term and how many changes there were of that term overall. So this says that overall, like there was one instance of efficiency removed. There could have been like other changes somehow to efficiency, like it got added to the footer and removed from the header. That would count as 0. So this means there's like unbalanced movement or change to the term. And so you can just look at all these if you want. But the nice thing about this is it lets you sort of run queries about it. So if you want to say, well, what are all the pages where like the term efficiency changed, then you can do that. And then you can say, well, if you want to say what are all the pages where the term efficiency was like removed as opposed to added, or like had at least 5 instances removed, probably a big change to something about efficiency on the page, then you can see that. All that sort of fun stuff. If you really want to get fancy, you can write a custom SQL query for this. So SQL is like a language for querying databases. You can read up lots about it online if you want. But basically, like if we said we want to, like, instead of this is ordering by some random number, if we want to order by like how much changed, and we're only looking at negative ones, so we're going to go from like the most removed. So order by change count, ASC is for ascending. And we can do that, and we'll have them ordered like this. So you can see like this one was kind of crazy. There were 76 instances of it removed. That probably means like the whole page was changed completely. But more interesting are the ones that are probably sub like 20 or 30. There's a handful in here where there are changes that are like negative 30 plus. There's like 4 or 5 of those pages, and they are all like the page was completely changed in some way. Yeah. So okay. So you can do that. Or like another way to do this is if you come back.
How did you get back to this page?
Sorry, I had a tab open in my browser already. These are and coming out of the oven 5 minutes later, the pre-baked cooking show version of demos. So anyway, you can do stuff like that. I am not sure why page ID is not linking. Usually it should do that. So you should get a little like link here. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. Well, anyway. But yeah, so another thing you can do is if you go back to pages and you want to say, hey, what are, well, so you can write, or what's the other example I have? All of the Zoom stuff is in the way. There was a neat one I had. I don't remember what it was. Okay. Well, I don't remember what it was that I had off the top of my head. But the other thing you can sort of do is, so what I did here, if you want to take these 2 tables and shove them together to put all that information in one line, this gets a little bit more complicated. But you can go to the main page, and where it says custom SQL query, you can pop in something like this says select term changes. So we've got a table called term changes and a table called pages, right? And this says take the term column, which is the term that changed, and the change count, and then all the columns from pages, and then put them together. So pages interjoin term changes. So that's saying take all the things from pages and join them to all the things from term changes based on whether pages.id is the same as term changes.pageID. So it's saying when they line up, they're referring to the same page ID, like plug them together. And then this is saying where the term is hydraulic fracturing, right? So I want to look for all the pages where hydraulic fracturing changed. So there we go. So there's not a whole lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 pages where hydraulic fracturing changed. And we're ordering by the absolute value of the change count. Whatever one had the most change comes first in this version, right? So this is select, nice way to look at this is select these things. You can say select, the term, the change count, and then all the page information from pages joined to term changes, and where term is whatever term you care about, and then order by the absolute value of the change count descending. So we want the most first, right? So that lets just see like what's changed. What pages have language about hydraulic fracturing changed? And then we've got the view URL for scanner here, so you can like command click to open that in a new tab if you want to take a look at it. And we can see what happened now. This page changed pretty significantly, so that may not actually be that interesting. But I don't know, like what's another term you want to search for here?
Wow, that's so cool. What other terms are in there?
So, this is fun. We can go to term changes, and this is the neat query. So if we want to see what all terms are in here, we can select distinct term from term changes. And see all the terms.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And more fun is we can say, select the term, min change count, and the max change count from term changes grouped by term. So all these these things that are called aggregations, so you're taking the min or the max or whatever you're calculating across a bunch of rows. You have to say how you're going to group when you do that calculation. So now we can say, oh, hey, look at that. You know, their pages have gone from either removing one instance of adaptation to as much as adding two. So you can see climate, this is one of the pages that just changed completely. This isn't really a meaningful thing. But like there is a page that removed 36 instances of the term climate, and there is a page that added 7. So you can sort of do all that kind of look across everything. I think we could say group by term, where change count, absolute value of change count, less than, say, 21. So try and strip out the like really spurious stuff. Yeah, so there we go. So this is all the same terms, but now you can see where to climate. Yeah, so that's no longer like -70, it's -13, right? So like throw out the ones where the like everything changed. So we get a like much clearer view of sort of what happened here.
Wow.
So this is why I want to put it in this system so that you can do all these kinds of things.
Yeah, this is awesome. Can we look at clean energy?
Sure. So we want to look at like what pages had clean energy change. Yeah. So actually, another thing we can do if we flip back here, we can say count page ID. So we can see how many pages had that term change on them. So clean energy. So there are 519 pages out of the like 3,100 where clean energy changed. So here we can say this page took away 22 instances. Yeah, it's likely that's probably just the whole page that changed, but we can take a look.
Oh, it's a blog, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so this, blog archive. So it's probably like a listing page. So just everything changed. Yep. Oh, no. It came a 404 page. So there you go. And we would see that, right there. So maybe if we want to trim this down, we probably don't care about the page ID, but we care about page view, view URL, title, status. URL, pages.title, pages.status. There we go. So the first one, 404, not surprising, but we could take a look at this second one, basic energy sciences. Yeah, this looks like probably the whole page changed here too. Yep.
Oh yeah, I think this actually might have been the page view that that you had to show earlier. This basic sciences for that page.
Where term equals clean energy and change count is less than 500. Let's see if that. And pages dot change count. No. Pages not. Almost. Oh, that's only counting as 2 changes because the whole chunk of the page changed. Okay, so that's not super useful. But anyway, I don't know what's look for a non-newsy looking one. So the other interesting thing you might see is, so yeah, see like access denied for 03 in here.
Yeah.
But like state and local solution center. Maybe
Yeah, that sounds interesting. It had 72. What was the 72 column?
That's a number of changes on the page. Yeah, so this is going to be like the whole page changed. So, I mean, maybe interesting to see that stuff called out, but also maybe not.
So wait, the 7, because clean energy, it had -7.
Yeah.
So there's 7. So the 72 is like the n grams that you were talking about.
How do I calculate that? Hold on. No, so it should be, it's the number of changes of anything on that page. So this would probably be better if it were like number of words changed or number of characters changed, because like we saw that one with 2 changes, that's because like the whole page was added and then the whole page was, you know, removed, or the whole page was removed and then a whole new version of the page was added. So that's 2 changes, but not particularly informative to know that that is 2 changes. You know, because that could equally be like 1 word was changed as much as it could be the whole page was changed. Yeah, so I could see about doing that better. So the Carolyn McGregor one, this one is a little more interesting. But this was, we were looking at clean energy. So probably all the instances of clean energy that changed here are probably part of the navigation. I tried doing a thing where after calculating all the changes for a given page, I went through and found how many for each and every term were used across all pages, right? So like if one page removed 5 instances of climate change, but every page removed at least 2 instances of climate change, then I'd drop that page down to 3. But it doesn't really work that great because every domain sort of has a handful of pages where like the nav is totally different and unrelated. And so like that way of looking for common changes doesn't really work well. It doesn't like wind up counting for much of anything. So it was a fun idea, but didn't work very well. So I definitely have some ideas for how we could better sort out like only the body.
Yeah.
But they're not super straightforward to do. So I don't know that I can do that super easily in the short term.
I mean, I feel like there's so much to be able to dig into already. Like we almost don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, this is like good for exploring.
Yeah. Okay, so
Energy independence might be an interesting one. I don't know. Environmental justice. I'm very curious about that.
1 page.
This is the page about the No Fear Act, which I guess it changed a lot. Oh yeah, so there's all these listings of where you can go to get in touch with people that got removed here.
Oh my God. That's interesting.
It's not even what we were looking for, but interesting things get surfaced here.
Yeah. Huh.
So environmental justice looks like it was part of the nav for just this section, for the No Fear Act section of the site. And maybe that section is gone, or there's no navigation.
There's no nav bar anymore, yeah. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm still slightly confused about the change number.
Which one?
The one that you were just explaining of like when the page was added and the page was removed, it was 2 changes, but it also could have been like one word was added and one word was removed.
Yeah, I think so. So this change count, the one that comes from term changes, is very relevant for you because it's like, what's the net difference in presence of that term on the page?
Mm-hmm.
So that's straightforward. The other change count one, I mean, I can explain it again, but I think what's salient is that it's mostly meaningless.
So it's just kind of okay, I won't worry about it too much.
I mean, okay, so if you're curious, it's counting how many changes there were. So the algorithm that tries to figure out what changed on the page is going to take as much contiguous removal or addition together and say, like, this is a chunk that got removed, that is a change. So if the entire page changed, you're just going to get 2, right? You're going to get everything got removed, that's one change, and then everything got added, and that's another change. It's 2 changes.
So it sort of looks for things that didn't change to kind of delineate what it calls a change. Like it would look for like a word that didn't change, or
yeah, I mean, basically what we're doing whenever we try and figure out what changed on a page, because we can't know what changed. We can only, look from the outside and say, oh, if I compare this to this, what's different? And so algorithmically, what that actually looks like is saying, okay, I've got some stuff over here. Is that also over here? Like, are there things before or after it that are in common or not in common? Does that mean like there's some stuff before it that's no longer here that I should consider to have been removed? So it sort of like looks for what's in common and where along the page from the start to the end that is, to try and figure out whether that means something got removed or added or whatever else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and so however the page winds up getting chunked up in that way is how many changes there are, right? So if the page also like swapped the term environmental justice for human justice, that would also look like 2 changes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be, I removed the term environmental and I added the term human, and that's 2. Or if I just removed the term environmental and just said justice, that would be 1 change.
Oh, I see. Okay. Makes sense.
So the number 2 versus the number 70 for that change count that's on the right hand side, not super meaningful, because you don't know if that means like, the page changed in 70 chunks with very little the same between it, or like, the whole page changed, or like two words that you care about changed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I should do something different for that value.
Well, this whole little database is fantastic, and very useful. And if I ignore one column, that's very little of the whole. This is really neat. I'm really excited to kind of poke around. And I'm glad actually to have this on video so I can like take little screenshots to look at your sample code for the for how to do stuff. Is there a way to select, like, I guess maybe it was like with the to select, wanting to view pages where costs and benefits changed, or like two different terms?
So if I want to look for all of these where term equals environmental justice, so I think what I need to do is think I can do a double join that way. Where term equals, where tc1.term equals that, and tc2.term equals, what was the other one you wanted to do?
I was thinking costs and benefits, or like costs is one and benefits is the other.
Okay. Is it cost or costs?
Costs.
Oops. One.
Sorry for making this hard.
Equals, I think that for not equal to. Ah, yeah, there we go. All right.
Cool.
Yes.
Oh, that's super neat.
Yeah. So, were there opposite values? Oh, we added two about benefits. Oh, that's the basic energy sciences one that changed completely.
The Bioenergy Technologies Office looks like it removed benefits once and added costs 3 times.
Let's see what happened. It looks like most of the page changed.
I do feel like energy.gov had a pretty big makeover.
Yeah, it may not be the greatest showcase of all of this. Some of the pages in energy.gov are good, some are not. I think what I'm going to do is make that other change count column just a total number, or just make it percentage of page changed.
Oh, that would be great.
So then you can see, then it'll tell you up front whether that means it's basically just the whole page was rewritten.
Yeah, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I can do that, I think. So there's a lot of rewriting here, but it's still sort of fundamentally the same page.
Yeah.
But this might be an interesting, like, what changed about how they're talking about costs and benefits.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness, this is awesome.
Yeah. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's probably a much easier way to do this query. Term changes STC1 and TC1 dot term both benefits. They're going in TC2 dot term equals costs. Yeah. So that got me the same answer with a much simpler query. So we've got select all the fields you care about from pages joined to term changes, and then as, it's just sort of like rename this thing to something else so that I can refer to it clearly in the rest of this query. So the first term changes, so we're joining on term changes twice, right? Because we want to do the combination of them. So we have TC1 and TC2. So the first join is, you know, where the pages line up between TC1 and all our core fundamental page information, and where the TC1 term is benefits. So it looks at only the rows where the term is benefits and where the page ID lines up. And then we join that to itself again, but only where the term is costs and where the page ID lines up. This TC1.page ID equals TC2.page ID. It could probably also just be pages.id, and you would get the same result. Yeah, so same thing.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yep. So you can keep doing this if you want to see about how terms code changed.
And then you can, for any of these displays, like once you run this query, and now we have these 79 rows and these however many, like 8 columns or something. Then if you click this data as CSV, does it just give you that window?
So that's the CSV file. And it's just those columns that we asked for. So you can import that into Google Sheets or Excel or whatever you want. Yep.
Cool. Okay. Oh, that's so neat. I'm so excited to get into this.
Yeah. So yeah, I set it up to do it for all these terms, which are ones that I think Eric had mentioned to me before, and there was only like one thing from what people mentioned in Slack at the end of last week that wasn't already on Eric's list.
Yeah, these look like the terms from the from his term analysis. Yeah,
I would expect that he was probably looking at the same ones that he had already been interested in.
Yeah. Wow, thank you. This is, I mean, wow, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be super helpful.
Cool. I don't think I can I can get it done right now, but eventually I think we'll build on this stuff. And I'm going to try and, in a later version, do word stemming. So right now, if you have like singulars and plurals, they'll show up differently, right? So impact and impacts. But stemming attempts to find the stem of the word. And so we'll just look at the stems. So you'd have like impact for regardless of whether it's plural or not.
Yeah, that's cool.
Although sometimes that can wind up with some weird stuff if the stemming algorithm like doesn't know how to handle a word.
Yeah. Okay, this is amazing. I'm so jazzed. As I said, I'm super jazzed to have your sample code. And I think this is what you told me about before, of that there's like a lot of resources out there to learn how to do SQL coding pretty quickly. It's like,
yeah,
it looks very much like beginner land to coding.
You can SQL can get deep and crazy, but it's definitely like designed to be approachable for somebody who's not like a programmer.
Yeah.
And for that, it also often makes programmers go mad. But it sort of splits that difference between being programming-ish but approachable and like human readable. Here's what I want to get from this database.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you just search your SQL online, you'll find about 5 bajillion references for how to do things.
Fabulous. And so when you do other domains, that could just be one of our search items. If we like wanted to limit it to EPA domain, we could just kind of select by.
Yeah, you can actually. So if we wanted to limit it to like EERE pages, you can actually do where URL is. So you can say contains, but you can also do like where percent is a wildcard. So you could do like EERE. And I don't think I indexed that column, so it might not be fast. But yeah, there you go. So this is only EERE pages. If you want to see what the underlying SQL for that looks like, it's like, well, like that. Or the other way to do this, if you actually want to put the value in there, it's like that. So I guess you have the same thing. So anywhere in these other queries, if we want to say, if we only want this for EERE pages, we could do that. And there you go. So there's only 64 EERE pages with both costs and benefits changed.
This is super helpful. Thank you for this tutorial. I think without it, I would have not been able to do much. But this is, yeah.
Oh, so there's two pages about Solr where costs and benefits changed.
Okay.
Look at that.
2 pages within ERE. Right? No, that was
right. No, just in energy.gov.
Awesome.
So that's looking at URL. You could also do where like title has Solr in it. Yeah, so there's actually 3 pages with Solr in the title that changed. Solr information resources. That's the success story. That's interesting. Costs and benefits changed. We added benefits and we removed costs. Reduce Solr adoption costs. And Fluent Solutions leverage the benefits. in this story is, what is that matching up to? The most as a part. Okay. As a part. Leverage the benefit. Yeah, so this is where I was saying about stemming would be helpful, is benefit got changed to benefits. So this is not really an addition of benefit.
Ah, I see.
So stemming would help you because we just see benefit in both of those cases. And we'd say, well, we added benefit and we removed benefit, so net zero, and we wouldn't count benefit as having changed. So then it wouldn't have come up in the query we just ran. Because we only really changed costs. We removed an instance of costs.
That makes sense. Fabulous. I love it.
Awesome.
Wow.
Stop sharing.
Oh my gosh, such a helpful tutorial. I'm gonna find the recording link and send it out on Slack so people can watch the tutorial. It's super useful.
Yeah. So I was hoping I could take some time to explain it because I figured it would. There's a lot you can do with it, but it definitely requires some explaining.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much especially for doing that so quickly. That we already have things to really dig into. With the last 10 minutes, I don't think it necessarily makes sense to get into other topics, but I guess I just like a couple things I'm planning on doing are one is to kind of look into this funder spreadsheet that I think Nick and Steph and maybe some other people helped compile, and try to look for like kind of funding organizations that look like they might be interested in funding web monitoring, like either specifically or some of the like kind of cross edgy projects. But I do think that some of our, so actually I'm going to turn off the recording now.